Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing that while the world screams about elections, wars, and stock market crashes, the real game is happening in silence. Not in newspapers, not on TV, not on social media. It's happening in a quiet room where a few people make decisions that ripple through the entire planet. Trillions of dollars move in ways that most of us will never even know, and entire economies rise or fall because of choices made here. This is the hidden system that thrives whenever a collapse hits, and today, on Silent Collapse, we're pulling back the curtain to show you exactly how it works. Before we dive deep, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to Silent Collapse. Turn on the notifications because you won't want to miss these insights. Once you see how this system works, you'll never look at money or crises the same way again. Most people think a financial collapse is about a failing bank, a bad president, or some unpredictable disaster. That's the story sold to the public. But in reality, collapses are carefully orchestrated, or at least heavily influenced, by one silent system that has existed for decades. It doesn't announce itself, it doesn't appear on headlines, and it doesn't care about politics or public opinion. Its goal is far simpler and far more terrifying: move wealth, control risk, and profit massively while the world panics. To understand it, imagine the global economy as a giant pool. On the surface, it looks chaotic. Markets fluctuate, stocks rise and fall, governments argue. But below, there's a network of invisible pipes moving trillions of dollars silently from one part of the world to another. When a crisis hits, these pipes do two things at once. They protect certain assets while letting others collapse. The people operating this system don't make mistakes. They see patterns where most of us only see chaos. During every major financial collapse in history, this system has been at work. From the Great Depression to the 2008 financial crisis, trillions shifted quietly while ordinary people suffered. Banks failed, governments printed money, unemployment soared. But behind the scenes, these hidden operators were already moving money into safe havens, buying assets at pennies on the dollar, and even profiting from the panic. One key tool they use is debt. Governments, corporations, and even individuals generate debt constantly. But in a collapse, this debt becomes a weapon. Bonds are bought and sold in secret deals. Interest rates are manipulated. Currency values are adjusted almost invisibly. While the news blares warnings about inflation or recession, the silent system is already several moves ahead, shifting trillions to secure positions that ensure survival and massive gains. Another layer is financial derivatives, contracts that most people can barely understand. To the average person, these are abstract bets on the future. To the silent system, they are precise instruments that allow enormous wealth transfer during market turmoil. During a collapse, while most investors panic and sell, derivatives allow the operators to lock in profits, hedge against risks, and even push entire sectors of the economy in directions that serve their agenda. History gives us plenty of examples. When the Asian financial crisis hit in 1997, governments begged for bailouts, local currencies collapsed, markets tanked. But a handful of global players moved quietly, acquiring assets at fractions of their real value. Same pattern repeated during the 2008 housing crisis. Banks that appeared weak were secretly propped up. Assets were bought by firms most of the public never heard of, and trillions of dollars moved without a single headline acknowledging it. It's important to understand that this system doesn't care about ethics. It doesn't care about fairness. Its only priority is efficiency and control. During collapses, it is ruthless, calculating, and nearly invisible. Ordinary people lose homes, savings, and jobs, but the operators of this system emerge stronger than ever, often consolidating more power and influence than before. But how do they stay invisible? Part of it is secrecy, part of it is complexity. Money moves through layers of banks, investment funds, shell corporations, and international markets. Transactions are structured in ways that make them almost impossible for the public, or even most regulators, to trace. And when leaks happen, they are often spun in ways that make ordinary citizens blame the wrong parties. By the time the media reports, the real story has already happened. The trillions have shifted, and the collapse is in full swing. Here's where it gets even more subtle. This system doesn't just react to crises, It often anticipates and even accelerates them. By subtly manipulating interest rates, credit availability, and investor sentiment, they can create panic in targeted markets. When fear spreads, ordinary investors sell, prices fall, and suddenly the assets the system was eyeing become cheap. What looks like chaos is actually a controlled environment designed to generate massive opportunities. And here's the kicker. This system touches every country. No nation is truly isolated. When a collapse hits one part of the world, money flows through global channels, impacting countries thousands of miles away. A crisis in Asia can trigger asset moves in Europe and North America. A government bailout in one nation can create profits in another. It's a web so interconnected that nothing moves by accident. And yet, for the average person, it's almost impossible to see the strings being pulled. So, what can you do as an individual watching this unfold? Awareness is the first step. Recognize that not all financial news is what it seems. Understand that collapses aren't purely accidental. They follow patterns. And while you can't control global markets, you can control your own exposure, your own financial decisions, and the information you consume. Even if you don't participate in trillions of dollars in silent transfers, understanding the system gives you an advantage. Remember, this silent system doesn't wait for permission, doesn't seek approval, and doesn't care who notices. It operates independently, moving wealth, controlling risk, and shaping the world behind the scenes. And every time the next collapse hits, it will act again, quietly and efficiently, while most of the world scrambles. Silent Collapse is here to reveal these truths, to help you see the patterns, and to prepare your mind for a world where most people are blind to the real forces at work. If this video opened your eyes even a little, hit the like button and subscribe to Silent Collapse so we can continue bringing these hidden truths to light. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. How do you see this system affecting your country, your community, or your own finances? Share this with someone who needs to understand what's really happening behind the headlines, because awareness is the first step to staying ahead. Most people believe economic collapses are loud. They imagine sirens, breaking news, red stock charts, and politicians arguing on TV. But the truth is far more unsettling. The most important moves during every collapse happen in total silence. No headlines, no warnings, just quiet transactions that shift trillions while the world is distracted. By the time the public realizes something is wrong, the money is already gone. And today on Silent Collapse, we're exposing the silent system that shows up every single time the global economy breaks. Before we go any further, take 1 second to like this video and subscribe to Silent Collapse. This channel exists to explain the things no one bothers to explain, and the earlier you understand them, the safer you are when the next crisis hits. Every collapse follows the same invisible pattern. First comes confusion, then fear, then panic. And during that chaos, a small group doesn't panic at all. They prepare, they wait, and then they move money on a scale most people can't even imagine. While the average person is worried about savings, rent, or retirement, trillions quietly change hands through systems that were designed to stay hidden. This system isn't a conspiracy in the movie sense. It's real, documented, and built into modern finance. It lives inside central banks, global clearinghouses, and private financial networks that never appear in public debates. When markets crash, these systems don't freeze. They activate. Liquidity is redirected, risk is transferred, assets are quietly repositioned, and once again, the winners and losers are decided long before the public story is written. Think about 2008. Most people remember the collapse of banks and housing. What they don't remember is what happened behind the scenes. While homeowners were losing everything, institutions were buying distressed assets in bulk. Entire neighborhoods were acquired for a fraction of their value. Debt was bundled, reshaped, and sold again. The collapse didn't destroy wealth, it relocated it. The silent system works because it understands something the public doesn't. Crashes don't mean money disappears. It only means money moves. And whoever controls the channels of movement controls the outcome. This is why collapses repeat the same result every time. The rich don't just survive, they expand. The system is built that way. One of the most powerful tools inside this system is timing. Information travels at different speeds. By the time bad news reaches the public, insiders have already reacted. Algorithms reposition portfolios in milliseconds. Liquidity is pulled from vulnerable markets before panic spreads. And when prices collapse, the system steps back in as a buyer, calm and calculated. Another tool is currency. During collapses, currencies weaken, strengthen, or completely collapse. To the average person, this looks like chaos. To the silent system, it's opportunity. Currency swaps, reserve adjustments, and cross-border flows allow trillions to move without ever touching the public market. Governments announce emergency measures, but the real decisions were already made weeks earlier. What makes this system so dangerous is how invisible it is. You won't see it on your banking app, you won't hear politicians talk about it clearly. And the media rarely explains it because it's too complex, too boring, or too uncomfortable. So instead, people are given simple villains and simple explanations, while the real machinery continues operating quietly in the background, and this is why collapses feel unfair. Because they are. Not by accident, but by design. The system protects itself first. Then it protects those who understand it. Everyone else is left reacting. By the time you're told to stay calm, the calm phase is already over. What's even more unsettling is that this system doesn't need a global collapse to operate. Smaller regional crises are enough. A debt crisis here, a banking scare there, a sudden policy shift. Each event triggers silent adjustments. Each adjustment moves billions or trillions, and each time, the gap between those who understand and those who don't gets wider. This is why history keeps repeating itself. Different countries, different excuses, same result. People ask how no one saw it coming. But the truth is, some people always see it coming. They just don't talk about it publicly. Understanding this doesn't mean you can control it, but it does mean you stop being surprised by it. You stop believing collapses are random. You start noticing patterns, you start asking better questions. And that alone puts you ahead of most people. Silent collapse exists for that exact reason. Not to scare you, but to sharpen your awareness. Because in a world where silence moves trillions, ignorance is expensive. If this perspective makes sense to you, drop a comment and tell me what country you're watching closely right now. Share this video with someone who still believes collapses are just bad luck. And make sure you're subscribed to Silent Collapse, because the next crisis won't announce itself loudly. It never does.